Oh, hey folks, Dude here, coming to you. Today is going to be another episode of Knife Blog. Coming to you today and all things, it's going to be Thursday, March 9th, and, well, 2017. But today's thing is going to be, well, it's going to be something very, very cool. We're going to be talking about, of all things, a period-correct item, knife-wise, known as the Gerber bolt-action knives. So, classically, what it is you have a Gerber knife, and literally the liner lock is very much quite not a liner lock. Actually, what it is, it's very close to the origination of the axis style lock, or pretty much what it is. If you look on top of the blade comes around from its rounded side, and there's a flat surface on the top of it. What happens is on the flat surface of the top is there's an intersecting piece of metal that then keeps the blade from folding. So literally that's what this little guy right here does, is the blade comes up, it goes up, goes up, goes up, goes up, goes up, and you saw that little guy jump forward. So what that literally did was a piece of metal is now resting on top of the spine of the blade. The blade goes in, basically goes down, cuts out, and that piece of steel rides on top of that guy and locks it in place. It's a very secure system, and most importantly, it's a very smooth system. I mean, I usually could snap these things out fairly easy. Actually, need a little more space. Okay, this one's playing with me. All right, but case in point, the bolt-action Gerber knife was something that was really cool. They actually had a version known as the Easy Out, where you take the blade, you run it back about halfway, and there was a cutout in the blade, and the blade literally would lift off its access pin, and you could switch it out for other blades. Now, there was some of these guys built with gut hooks on the back. There was some that was built with saw blades, and you know what? I'm just going to set this guy right here. Why? Because conversely, there was other versions, like this one I picked up some years ago. And this one, yes, your eyes are not playing tricks on you. That is a scalloped style blade. Now, why would they make something like this? Well, obviously, the point is safe. And, of course, it's going to have a fairly aggressive cutting surface while not being a full-on, ridiculous serrated knife. Possibly you could think of this thing, because it's orange, as a rescue knife. That's right. Somebody's in the car. You slip it up underneath their body. You're not going to poke them because there's no point there, okay? You slip it up underneath their body, get onto the seatbelt, chunk, you got them out. So, conceivably, you could say that this was one of the very first styles of rescue knives that Gerber was playing around with back in the good old days, and it is a kind of unusual piece of kit. It is also a very, very thin profile of blade. You can see the thickness therein. I mean, it is about literally, it's about as thick as a penny, or a dime, really, man. It's a really, really thin, flippy blade. I guess they were trying to make it as light as possible, and that's literally the way it came out. So, you have this guy, this guy. So, conversely, what would be the biggest extent of this really thin profile blade? Would be literally this guy. I literally just got this thing, like literally just today, off of eBay. It's a little bit of a problem child because it's missing the cloyons. You know, notice you have like these little stainless steel discs that cover the area where all the parts get squeezed together to make the literally the axis area that the blade then rotates upon. So I'm missing those cloyons on both sides of the thing. Now, if you were to look at the side of this, essentially what it says is, let me throw a little more light on it. Hang on a sec. It says Bolt Action Fisherman written around. Yeah, that's right. Written around that cloyon if it was in place. On this side, it says Made in USA, Pat penned. So, what's the coolest thing about this guy? Yeah, it's not going to do that flippy thing because it's kind of tight. That said, it is also one of the sharpest effing blades I have ever played with a minor amount of stropping ever on a diamond stone. Now, the coolest thing about it is if you guys look at this, hopefully you guys can kind of see. Let me play with my focus here. Hang on one second. Hopefully you guys can kind of see that. So yeah, this thing is actually that old. It says on here, first production run, October 1983. So it is a very antique piece of kit. And it did come with the sheath. I literally, chastised the guy on eBay because he said it was perfect. No, it is not perfect. It is all rusty, crusty, nasty, and I still got to work on it. And the handle is not exactly pretty. But, it's a 1983 knife, okay? It's not going to be pretty. I did give the guy positive. Grudgingly, I gave him a positive feedback, but I was not happy about it. So literally, from top to bottom, you have the standard bolt-action carry knife that pretty much everybody's had forever, and you have this rescue knife, and then you have the fishing variety. And yes, folks, this is a very, very bendy style of fishing knife. And I'm going to be very, very careful because this thing is effing, and I do mean effing, like in Effingham, Illinois. It's effing sharp, folks. And this thing is ridiculously sharp. Like, it took no time at all to get it, like, to the point where I was like, okay, let's see. Right through the paper towels I was cleaning it with. Okay, got to be very, very careful in that regard. So, the length, depth, and breadth essentially now would be, where would be the ultimate conclusion of these knives? Truthfully, you would go to something along the lines of this one. This is the Parabellum. This is the big puppy mother. The big daddy. Now, what's the coolest thing about this Parabellum? Well, first and foremost, if you look at the basic design, it's going to follow along the lines of this guy. Yeah, except for one major, huge, massive difference. It is actually intended as a field knife. So literally you have a good finger hole here. You have a very ergonomic style of grip. And I don't exactly have small hands. I got very big palms. But this is a very ergonomic style of blade. You know, standard knife blade, nothing crazy there. This thing's actually had kind of a rough life. So it actually does have some etching on the blade. And it holds an edge very, very nicely. This is some pretty stiff stock, man. This thing is like, it's like 3/8 of material. It is not a thin piece of kit. That said, the coolest thing about this guy, you still can one-hand even something as big as this, no problem. Now, the cool thing about it is the way the kit is going to be included with the sheath and all, is you have essentially the old style of belt loops where you basically click them in and you kind of loop them around the belt and you click them back into little hooks. But here's the cool part. You unsnap this. It's a little stiff. You unsnap this. You flip it 180. Snap these guys back together. Of course, snap closed the pouch that originally held the knife, or you could use it for secondary purposes. But here's the cool part. It then becomes a dual-purpose sheath where you can actually click the knife on board, unsnap this, run it back around, and you then can carry your knife as an open blade carry, where this actually rotates and it doesn't really cause any interaction for you to carry the thing appropriately. Of course, it has a tie down, all the good stuff like that there. But if you need it, you then can take that guy, bing, bang, boom. You have a quick, easy sheath knife. If you want to go really wild and crazy, some of these were looser than others. You can actually take this and you can actually flip this 180 and change the direction and orientation of the snaps. Now, to get this thing put back together takes a little bit of work, and you got to play with it a little bit. And, sometimes some of them are easier than others. This one actually is not too terrible bad because I've been playing with it. I've been messing around with the snaps, and everything tends to work rather nicely. That said, you still can put the knife into the sheath. It's not an optical illusion. There's actually a pocket back there, like a standard knife sheath, so you can actually carry your knife open or closed. Really, really cool technology and thinking for the time. Now, these things are not going cheap. The last price point I looked at them on eBay, cha-frickin-ching. They are going way, way up. But these are a very, very cool piece of kit here. So, you know what? Let's just throw this guy also into the fray. Just for the hell of it, So everybody knows I'm not playing around here. There's actually distinct knives all over the place. And I submitted to you for your approval. We are talking about, of all things, the really, really cool piece of kit known as the Gerber bolt-action knife. How cool is that, folks? You have something that really was kind of not hugely formative, but, very, very cool for its time period, but has carried on with the technology for people to use that same style of lock in modern iterations. Now, these things are actually around. You can find them usually used. They were made by a second company called Meyer Co., where Blackie Collins, who was one of the huge designers at Gerber, decided he was going to break off and he was going to work for somebody else. And he literally did. He started working for Meyer Co. And I think the guy's name is David Meyer. So David Meyer and Blackie Collins got together and started making pretty much executions of Blackie's designs, which now, of course, were up for free reign because the license had run out with Gerber. And he decided to take his work elsewhere and continue doing knife designs. And, of course, he came up with other stuff that Meyer Co. then sold. Meyer Co. is not as nearly as big a name as it used to be, but they still have these knives around if you are hardcore looking around, and you can find these things on eBay. You can find them second source at gun shows, and any kind of yard sales, any kind of second run places where you basically have flea markets and along those lines. You can find all these items as a second sale item. They are not new. If you do find them new old stock on eBay, pull out your wallet. It's gonna hurt. All right, folks, I'm going to break off this one, and I want to submit it to your approval. These are the Gerber, some of them, because there's a lot of varieties, some of the Gerber bolt-action knives. How cool is that? Very, very cool. And these are, yeah, I love me my. I got two of them. Okay, I have one user, one in the box, and okay, that's how I roll. Okay, I usually have several knives. All right. All right, I got more than too many knives. All right, so I'm gonna pull them out of the collection and show them off for every once in a while and do the knife blogs, and then you know how that guys work. Well, you know how it works, okay? I just pull stuff out and I show it to you guys, and that's how it works, okay? I'm gonna break up this one. Equal Kip 10 rings, always, you know you love it. Gerber bolt action knives. How cool is that? Very. Equal Kip 10 rings, always, you know you love it. Knife goodness. Knife blog. See you guys.